This is it. This is my life.
Ronan, thanks so much for taking the time. I like to start some of these interviews by just showing how much notes I took for the film I'm about to talk about. I was so immersed throughout everything you were accomplishing in this film. And I want to start by asking, everyone is bringing up the Daniel Day-Lewis factor, getting to work with your dad, bringing him out of retirement for the first time in 8 years. You two are both such fans of film before becoming filmmakers yourselves. Were there any films that you specifically bonded over growing up that you can recall?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, so I always blank when I try to think of specific ones, but Kes was one early on that we definitely bonded over. Badlands was one that he showed me that was huge for me. What else? Yeah, I mean, Days of Heaven too, and yeah, a lot of other ones that I'm blanking on now, but yeah.
Yeah, it's special to have those films that connect you to. I feel like film can bring people together in that way. Yeah, I'd love to know what the first couple of pages of script look like for this movie, because there's no dialogue for so long until I believe it's Ray who says, "Our inheritance." That's the first line. You have so many great shots in this film too. Can you kind of tell me what that script looks like when there's no dialogue for so long? What's on the page?
Yeah, that was a real challenge, is how to depict time passing without dialogue, because dialogue tends to, the minute per page rule is kind of built more around scenes that include dialogue. So trying to depict time just with very visually descriptive writing was definitely a challenge. And there was a lot of sensory kind of detail about what, like the wind and the sound was talked about a lot in the script, you know, the sound of the wind and the rain and you know, the sense of the elements in the cold, and shots were, I described a few shots like very specifically actually, like in the script. So like the first time we meet Ray in the script, which is I think the first scene we actually wrote in screenplay format, the shot ended up basically being what was initially described, of just kind of gliding out of the forest and finding him in the clearing, kind of pushing in on him from behind. So it was an interesting, it was interesting seeing which things ended up sort of directly translating from the script visually like that, and which things were sort of discovered more. But, I
was enamored with the shot selection. I wrote down in my notes that you love a tracking shot. There's a couple great ones in this, couple great dolly zooms. What are those shots that fire you up as a director?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm always excited by when the camera feels like an active participant in the story, and that it feels like there's a real intentionality and kind of perspective in the camera movement. So I talked a lot to Ben Fordsman, the cinematographer, about how to kind of view the camera with a sense of omniscience and kind of portent, but then also make it kind of hyper subjective, where there's a lot of kind of gradual movement in, where you're always being kind of pulled deeper and deeper into this vortex of one person's psyche. But then there's also these kind of more clinical kind of shots, like for instance when they're walking past the fairground, it was always really important to me that stayed in a wide and was like a really long kind of tracking shot that had more of an omniscience to it. So yeah, we were thinking a lot about how to bake those two perspectives into the camera language.
Yeah, the camera language, like you said, it's almost a character in and of itself, which I think is really cool. I have 2 spoiler questions. Yeah. We'll save them until after release, fair game?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The ghost lady, and then like the horse creature. I've been mulling over what they mean for a week now, and I don't have an answer myself. Could you give me some insight into what you were going for? First with the ghost lady.
The ghost lady the idea is that she's kind of we always referred to her as the Nessa visitation when we were in prep and you know, we're even in the script stage. So it's kind of we were sort of thinking of it as a kind of visitation of the past version of a certain character, a past version of a certain character, kind of upon Ray. So it's sort of young Nessa visiting Ray in this way, and a kind of reaching out. It's almost like a projection of it's a visual projection of the letter kind of finding Ray. And then the creature
on the poster too.
On the poster too, yeah. The creature kind of first came to me years ago in the form of like a drawing, and ended up haunting my paintings for a long time. And I have a lot of thoughts about it, but I'm honestly equally curious about like how it's about other people's interpretations of it, and I don't want to tread on the mystery too much, but I like that you're still thinking about it.
Yeah, you Irishman. Cillian Murphy told me the same thing. I asked him about his interpretation of the Steve ending, and he was like, "Oh, it's up for the audience." And I was like, "Fair enough, fair enough." That must be really surreal though, to have like a vision that then gets translated into live action.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. That's all the time I have, but Ronan, you should be very proud.
Thank you so much.
What do you want from me, brother? What do you want?